I won $1 million on a scratch-off ticket Ethan bought me. The moment I saw the winning numbers, I screamed, jumping up and down in pure ecstasy.
Ethan.
We have the money to get married now. He wouldn't have to stress about our wedding budget, a down payment for a house, or car loans anymore. Our 5-year relationship was finally going to end in a beautiful wedding. But he didn't laugh. He just let out a faint, irritated sigh. Are you really that desperate to marry me? I froze. Then, a burst of roaring laughter erupted from his phone on the table. Etkan a bet's a bet. She actually wants to use that money to marry you. You better put a ring on it, bro. Your wedding budget is only 10 grand? That's not even enough to buy Chloe a designer bag. She's so cheap.
Chloe.
The rich girl who bullied me throughout high school. I looked down at the scratch-off ticket crumpled in my fist. Then I tossed it straight into the trash can. All right, cut it out, guys, Ethan said into the phone. Am I the type to go back on my word? Just get your wedding gifts ready for me. After another round of teasing from the group, a voice that often haunted my nightmares came through the speaker. It was Chloe. Ethan, are you insane? We agreed. You'd just play her to help me get even. Are you actually going to marry her? Ethan wiped my tears with one hand while replying carelessly into his phone. Yeah, why not? Who else would I marry? You, Chloe? Did you really think I was your lapdog, doing whatever you told me to do? The call ended abruptly with a beep. She had hung up. Ethan stared at his phone for a long time before looking up at me with a smile. Why were you crying just now? Were you just shocked that I actually have money? Before I could answer, he asked, Want some pasta? I'll make it now. He put on his apron and began boiling the pasta, acting as if that humiliating prank call had never happened. I took a deep breath, my chest aching terribly. I couldn't help but ask, Aren't you tired? What? These past 5 years, aren't you tired of acting? Ethan went silent. The only sound in the apartment was the roar of the range hood. It was driving me crazy. I walked over, shut it off, and yanked Ethan's arm, forcing him to look at me. Aren't you going to explain? I just did, didn't I? What else do you want me to say? He paused, then added, Chloe is just a childhood friend. Don't overthink it. He was brushing it off, completely avoiding the bet they had made and conveniently ignoring Chloe's words about getting even. I tilted my head back, blinking hard to keep the tears from falling. 5 years. More than 1,000 days and nights. I had given Ethan my whole heart. I truly believed he was the one I would spend the rest of my life with. I didn't care that we were broke. We could work hard. I didn't care that we didn't have a house or a nice car. We could rent and we could save. But now, I was being told that all of this, our entire relationship, was just a setup to help Chloe get revenge on me? A custom-made trap? I honestly didn't get it. I was just an ordinary girl. Why did they go to such lengths to mess with me? How could Ethan play the role of the perfect, caring boyfriend for 5 whole years? When he used to tell me how guilty he felt for not being rich enough to give me a better life, did he want to laugh? When he massaged my cold feet or did my laundry, did he have to hold back his disgust? What an amazing actor. I really put him through a lot, didn't I? So, what date should we set for the wedding? He asked casually, as if asking whether I wanted cheese on my pasta. I clenched my teeth, my voice dripping with bitterness. We're not getting married.
He scoffed.
Seriously? Because of a joke? Haven't you been begging to marry me? Yeah, I lied to you, but doesn't this have a happy ending? I can increase the wedding budget to over $100,000. House, car, whichever you want, just name it. What are you still throwing a tantrum about? This isn't about the money. Ethan stopped what he was doing. Suddenly, he slammed the pasta bowl against the wall. The shards shattered everywhere, scratching my bare leg. Marinara sauce splattered all over the floor. When we had no money, you wanted security. Now that we have money, you want to talk about something else. Ava, are you out of your mind? Blood trickled down my leg, and my hands felt numb. Ethan instinctively reached out to grab me, but I pushed him away.
Yes.
I am out of my mind. My voice was barely a whisper. I pulled up my sleeves, revealing the old and new scars lining my forearms. I have severe depression and PTSD. Are you happy now? Tears poured down my face. I bit my lips so hard it bled, staring straight into his eyes. Ethan, I'm asking you, are you happy now? Why the hell would I marry you? Why would I marry the man who helped my bully torment me? Ethan's lips trembled, and a flicker of emotion crossed his eyes. For a split second, I actually thought it was pity. Then his phone rang. He answered it. A frantic voice yelled from the other end. Ethan, Chloe's wasted. She's screaming your name, saying she needs to see you. What does that have to do with me? Ethan said, pulling out a first aid kit to clean my cut. She said, if you don't show up tonight, She's going to sleep with some random guy at the bar? The bottle of antiseptic knocked over, spilling brown liquid all over the floor. Ethan clenched his fists. He gave me a conflicted look, then made his decision. Clean yourself up. I'll be right back. I didn't say a word. I just stood by the window in silence. I watched him sprint out of the building. He even kicked over my Vespa parked by the entrance because it was in his way. He had bought me that Vespa during our second year of dating. It couldn't shield me from the rain, but it meant I didn't have to squeeze onto the subway anymore. The day I got it, I was so happy that I took him on rides around the neighborhood for hours. My definition of love, my definition of happiness. Just like that Vespa, it was now lying knocked over on the pavement, its side mirrors shattered to pieces. The blood kept dripping. I wrapped my leg up with gauze, feeling completely numb. The bright red blood mixed with my tears. It was sickening. I stared at the bandage. My mind kept drifting back to Chloe's words. Play her. Then, I remembered the nights I would wake up sobbing from nightmares, cutting myself because I couldn't handle the pain, and how Ethan would always hold me and scream.
Ava.
If you die, you get to escape. But what about me? What about the people who love you? He had held me so tight. He sounded so incredibly sincere. His warm tears had soaked my shoulder, melting the ice around my heart. So, I had opened up to him. I sobbed and told him all my trauma. I told him how Chloe and her friends had spread disgusting rumors about me, accused me of stealing money, and how they had poured ice-cold water over my head in the middle of winter, leaving me with chronic health issues. It had forced me to take a year off from school and spend 6 months in a hospital. I had broken down countless times because of Chloe, yet I kept enduring it. And Ethan had comforted me every single time, holding me from dusk till dawn, whispering, "Don't worry, I'm here." Was he really comforting me? Or was he sharing my misery with Chloe as their proud trophy? I didn't dare to think about it anymore. My laptop screen lit up. The Snapchat icon kept flashing. Ethan had forgotten to log out. With trembling hands, I clicked on it. I saw a group chat where Chloe was the admin. I scrolled all the way to the top and read every single message, word by word. I saw how Ethan's relentless pursuit of me in college wasn't because of love at first sight. It was because Chloe had said, "She's going to the same college as you? She doesn't deserve to be there." Ethan, I hate her so much. Can you pretend to date her, ruin her, and then dump her? And Ethan had replied casually, "You won't be my girlfriend, but you're pushing me to someone else. You're cruel." I saw how every time I let my guard down around Ethan, the group chat would celebrate, begging him to take her virginity. I saw Ethan posting the video of him gifting me the Vespa, and everyone laughing at it. So cheap. And she actually treats that piece of trash like a treasure. I saw them calling the watch I bought him, using 6 months of my savings, cheap garbage. Every single cruel, toxic message pierced through my brain. My tears splattered onto the keyboard. I wiped them away with my sleeve and kept reading. Later on, Ethan's messages in the group became less frequent. Until recently, when they couldn't wait to see me break, planning the final blow. I sank back into my chair, my heart pounding violently. The air in the room felt frozen. I could hear my own shallow breathing and the loud noise coming from a video sent in the group chat. "Kiss her. Kiss her." "Ethan, Chloe is being so obvious. Aren't you going to show her some love?" I stared blankly at the video. I watched Ethan pick up a drunken Chloe and carry her into a private bedroom, kicking the door shut behind them. The cheers and wolf whistles in the video almost blew out my speakers. My fingers slowly moved to the keyboard. I typed and hit send. "You disgusting, sick bastards. Why don't you all just go to hell?" The next second, the account was force logged out. My stomach churned. I ran to the toilet and threw up until my throat burned. It turned out the storm of my youth had never ended. Ethan had just temporarily held an umbrella over me, making me believe the sun was shining.
My phone rang.
I picked it up. "You saw it?" Ethan's voice sounded panicked.
Yeah. Wait till you get back.
"I'll explain." "No need." I sat on the cold bathroom floor, looking around the cozy apartment we had decorated together. "You don't need to explain, and you don't need to come back. Ethan, I don't want to play your game anymore. Just let me go. I can't fight you guys, but at least I can run away." My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Annoyed, I turned it off completely. I packed my bags and found the deed to the apartment. I put it back where it belonged. I used to wonder how Ethan had found such a cheap place, so close to my office. It never occurred to me that he was the actual landlord. The bright moon hung outside, shining on my lonely figure. The rolling sound of my suitcase was incredibly loud in the silent night. But even louder was the screech of car tires stopping right in front of me. "Where do you think you're going?" Ethan ran up to me, gasping for breath, grabbing my wrist tightly. You're a grown woman and you're running away? How childish can you get? Come on, we're going home. I turned my head away, trying not to look at the hickey on his neck. I pulled my wrist back with all my might. There is no home between us. Ethan stared at me. I tried to walk past him, but he snatched my arm again. Be rational, okay? Whatever happened between you and Chloe was years ago. How long are you going to keep bringing it up? You need to move on. I've been good to you for 5 years, and you know it. If you leave me, where else are you going to find a guy like me? How long am I going to keep bringing it up? Because it still hurts. And he was casually reducing the trauma that gave me sleepless nights to a mere old grudge. I looked closely at him. This face that used to bring me so much joy, why did it look so foreign now? I guess I never truly knew him. My head was pounding. I didn't want to argue anymore. The keys are under the doormat. I didn't take anything you bought me, except the clothes I'm wearing. But they're ripped now. Tell me how much they cost. I'll pay you back. You can't afford it, Ethan sneered, as if hearing a joke. Do you really think I buy you cheap mall clothes? This was custom-made, Ava. What are you going to pay me with? With your tiny paycheck? Or your sad little pride? If you've got the guts, then take them off right. He cut himself off, because I had already started unbuttoning my shirt. 1, 2, fuck. He threw his jacket over me, growling, Ava, you're literally insane. He shoved me into his car. The car sped through the night, driving towards Ethan's Real home. A massive luxury mansion I had only ever seen on TV. You're sleeping here tonight, he said, leading me into a bedroom. The closet was filled with clothes in my size. The bathroom had my favorite brands of toiletries. Even the giant plush strawberry bear I had wanted but couldn't afford was sitting on the bed. What was this? A poisoned apple wrapped in gold? Or a temporary sweet treat before the next cruel prank? My stomach turned again. I dry heaved, my hair sticking to my tear-stained face. Ethan frowned, looking at me with sudden uncertainty. Ava, are you what? I saw a flash of hope on his face, but it was immediately crushed by the loud clicking of high heels. Chloe stormed in, glared at me with pure hatred, and raised her hand to slap me. Fear shot through my chest. I instinctively flinched and closed my eyes. But the pain never came. Ethan had caught her wrist. What is your problem? Chloe screamed. I told you to play her, not marry her. Ethan, did you actually fall for this bitch? She's been a manipulative slut since we were kids. Don't let her trick you. Ethan didn't say if he loved me or not. He just paused for a few seconds before saying coldly, the moment you pushed me to someone else, you lost the right to question me. I sat on the floor, watching them fight. My head felt heavier and heavier, and my skin felt burning hot. Through the haze, I heard Chloe yell, "This is my room. Why did you give it to her? You're just trying to make me jealous." I couldn't hear the rest of their argument. I just smiled faintly. I smiled at how pathetic I was. I had actually thought Ethan had a shred of genuine feeling for me, but he was just a liar through and through. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Ethan was sitting beside me, dark circles under his eyes, but a huge smile plastered on his face. You're pregnant. He gently touched my stomach and opened his phone calendar. I looked up some wedding dates. Which one do you like? We can have a beautiful outdoor wedding. I'll get a custom wedding gown for you. Take a look at these designs. And after the wedding, we'll go on our honeymoon. Didn't you always want to go to? He kept talking, planning out our future. I didn't say anything. I just stared at my phone. My HR manager had messaged me. I was fired. It came from the higher-ups.
I didn't even need to ask.
It was either Ethan or Chloe's doing. 5 years. I had worked my ass off at that company for 5 years. And they ruined my career with a single sentence. A trending notification popped up on my phone. It was about Chloe. I clicked on it. It turned out she was an influencer with millions of followers. Her page was filled with her glamorous life as a rich girl, with tons of people kissing her feet. Why did she get to live such a perfect life? Did she deserve it? The trending video was of her crying about her doomed love story. She claimed she and Ethan were childhood sweethearts. She said Ethan rented out venues for her birthday fireworks every year. He had gifted her countless luxury items and jewelry. And I was the homewrecker who ruined it all. With a few tears, she painted me as a manipulative gold digger. Her followers were already doxing me in the comments. My hands shook. I glanced at Ethan, who was busy talking to a wedding planner on the phone. I slowly began to type, attaching screenshots of our chat logs, and hit post. I watched the likes on my comment shoot up. Some people questioned my mental illness, while others brought up Chloe's bullying history. Soon, the comment section became a war zone. But within minutes, my post was gone. Chloe had deleted it. Ethan walked back into the room after finishing his call, his brow furrowed. Ava, you're being too impulsive. Chloe is an influencer. It's normal for her to exaggerate things online. I won't let her hurt you anyway. We're all in the same social circle. Don't make things so ugly. After a pause, he added, go apologize to Chloe. Let's just put all these years of drama behind us. I let out a soft laugh, looking at him with hollow eyes. My heart was too dead to feel any anger. I obediently let him lead me to a private room at a high-end restaurant. Ethan pressed a glass of juice into my hand. Across the table sat Chloe, looking perfect and arrogant. She tilted her head. Apologize. Just like you did in high school. On your knees. The room was filled with their wealthy friends, all wearing mocking grins. Just like back then. I walked over to her, step by step, and whispered, I'm sorry, Chloe. I'm sorry you're such a miserable piece of trash. And then, I threw the juice right in her face. She shrieked in horror as her expensive makeup ran down her neck. I grabbed a bottle of wine from the table and poured it over her head. As the dark liquid soaked her hair, I yelled, I'm sorry that I was prettier than you. I'm sorry my grades were better than yours. I'm sorry the class president liked me instead of you. I'm sorry you had to bully me to feel important. Someone tried to grab me, but I slammed the wine bottle against the table, shattering it. I pointed the jagged glass at them. Come near me, and I'll stab you. We can all die tonight. Chloe was sobbing on the floor. I grabbed her hair, pulled her up, and slapped her face hard, over and over again. Go to hell. You're nothing but a spoiled, pathetic dog. The silence that followed was deafening. Chloe's high society friends, who had been snickering just moments before, stood frozen. The jagged edge of the broken wine bottle in my hand caught the amber glow of the restaurant's chandeliers. A drop of dark red Cabernet dripped from the glass, landing on the pristine white tablecloth like a drop of fresh blood.
Ava.
Stop. Ethan's voice cracked, losing its usual cool, calculated composure. He lunged forward, but I didn't flinch. I held the broken glass closer to
Chloe's cheek.
She whimpered, her face smeared with mascara and red wine, her expensive silk dress ruined. Step back, Ethan, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. Or, I promise you, she won't have a face left to show her followers. Ethan stopped, his hands raised in surrender. Okay, just calm down. Think about your health. Think about the baby. The baby. The word felt like a physical blow to my chest. I looked down at my stomach, then back at Ethan's panicked face. The realization of what he was doing hit me. He didn't care about me. He didn't even care about Chloe. He cared about control. He wanted to lock me into a corner where I could never escape, using a child as the ultimate golden cage. I let out a low, hollow laugh that echoed through the private dining room.
If
there's a baby in here, Ethan, I would rather starve myself to death than let a single drop of your toxic blood inherit this world. I shoved Chloe away. She fell back onto the plush carpet, sobbing hysterically. I dropped the broken bottle. It clattered against the hardwood floor, the remaining glass shattering into 1,000 tiny pieces. Without looking back, I walked out of the restaurant. The cold night air hit my face, shocking my senses. I ran. I didn't know where I was going, but I ran until my lungs burned and my legs felt like lead. I ended up in a small, dimly lit public park miles away, collapsing onto a wooden bench. My hands were shaking so violently, I could barely hold my phone. I needed to know the truth. I didn't go back to the hospital Ethan had taken me to. Instead, the next morning, I walked into a small, independent community clinic on the other side of the city. I registered under a pseudonym, paying in cash. I sat in the waiting room for 2 hours, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. When the doctor finally called my name, I went in and did a blood test. Miss, the doctor said, looking over the paperwork an hour later. The results are negative. You aren't pregnant. In fact, looking at your stress levels and hormone profile, it would be highly unlikely for you to conceive right now.
Have
you been under a lot of pressure? I sat there, the room spinning around me. Negative. I wasn't pregnant. A cold, heavy dread settled deep in my bones, quickly followed by a dark, burning rage. The hospital Ethan had taken me to was owned by a subsidiary of his family's conglomerate. The private doctor who had smiled and congratulated me was on his payroll. It was all a lie, a manufactured medical conspiracy to force me into a marriage, to keep me silent, and to ensure I wouldn't run away after discovering the Snapchat group. He wanted to keep me as his quiet, obedient little pet, a trophy of his charity, while he and Chloe continued their sick games behind closed doors. I walked out of the clinic and looked up at the gray sky. If I ran now, they would find me. With their money and influence, they would make my life a living hell. They had already gotten me fired. They had already started doxing me online. If I wanted to survive, I couldn't just run. I had to burn their world down first. 2 days later, I went back to Ethan's luxury mansion. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. When he opened the door, his eyes wide with surprise and relief, I simply let my head fall against his chest. I forced myself not to shudder as his arms wrapped around me. "I'm sorry," I whispered, my voice muffled by his designer coat. I was so overwhelmed. The hormones, the pregnancy. I lost my mind. Ethan let out a long breath, his hand gently stroking my hair. "I knew you'd come back, Ava. I knew you didn't mean those things. It's okay," the doctor said. "Mood swings are normal. I've already handled Chloe. She won't bother you again." "Really?" I asked, looking up at him with wide, trusting eyes. "Are we still getting married?" "Of course we are," he smiled, his ego visibly expanding. "I've already booked the venue. The wedding is in 3 weeks. I want the whole world to see you as my wife." The whole world. I thought, yes, that is exactly what I want too. For the next 3 weeks, I played the perfect, submissive fiancé. I agreed to every floral arrangement, every catering choice, and every expensive gown Ethan picked out. I smiled for the cameras when his family's PR team took photos of us. For the local high society magazines, I let them paint me as the Cinderella who had captured the heart of the city's most eligible bachelor. But at night, while Ethan slept soundly beside me, I was at work. Using his Face ID while he was asleep, I unlocked his phone and his personal
laptop.
I didn't just look at Snapchat this time. I went deeper. I found the financial ledgers for his family's real estate firm. For years, Ethan had been running a shadow account, embezzling millions of dollars to fund his private lifestyle, his luxury cars, and the expensive gifts he showered on
Chloe.
Even worse, I found encrypted emails between his father and several city council members. They had been bribing officials to bypass safety inspections on their new high-rise developments, the very buildings where hundreds of middle-class families lived. But I didn't stop there. I needed Chloe too. I looked into her influencer agency. Chloe's entire brand was built on being a self-made philanthropist. But the private chats on her work phone revealed a much darker reality. She had been pocketing over 70% of the donations raised through her charity galas, funneling the money into offshore accounts to pay off her massive gambling debts in Macau. I gathered everything. Every bank statement, every bribe receipt, every voice note, and every systematic bullying message they had ever sent me. I didn't upload them to social media. I knew how fast their PR teams could take down a public post. Instead, I sent the financial documents directly to the Federal Tax Evasion Unit and the Major Anti-Corruption Task Force, using an encrypted anonymous server. As for the personal records, I saved those for the main event. The day of the wedding arrived. The venue was a historic, sprawling estate on the outskirts of the city. Hundreds of elite guests, local politicians, and media reporters filled the grand ballroom. The air was thick with the scent of expensive lilies and the chatter of wealthy socialites. Chloe was there too. She sat in the front row, wearing a pale cream dress that looked dangerously close to white, her eyes boring into me with silent, venomous hatred. She still thought she had won. She thought that even if I married Ethan, she would always be the one he truly belonged to. I stood at the back of the chapel, wearing a custom-made lace gown that cost more than my entire 5-year salary at my old job. The heavy veil obscured my face, hiding the cold, empty expression underneath. The music started playing. I walked down the aisle, my steps slow and measured. Ethan stood at the altar, looking incredibly handsome in his tailored tuxedo. He smiled warmly as I reached him, taking my hand. His fingers were warm, but they felt like ice against my skin. The priest began the ceremony, his voice droning on about love, honor, and
Cherish.
if anyone here present knows of any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, the priest announced, his voice echoing through the grand hall, let them speak now, or forever hold their peace. The chapel was silent. I do, I said clearly. The priest paused, blinking in confusion. Excuse me, bride? I reached up and slowly pulled back my veil. I looked directly at Ethan, whose smile was beginning to falter. I object, I repeated, my voice amplified by the lapel microphone I was wearing. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Ethan's grip on my hand tightened, his knuckles turning white. Ava, what are you doing? This isn't funny. Stop playing around. I'm not playing, Ethan, I said, stepping back from him. For 5 years you
Played a game with my life.
You and Chloe. But today, the game is over. I turned to the tech booth at the back of the hall. The young technician whom I had paid a hefty sum the night before hit the play button. The massive projector screens on either side of the altar, which were supposed to show a romantic slideshow of our 5 years together, suddenly flickered to life. But it wasn't photos of us. It was the Snapchat group chat. The entire chapel gasped as giant screenshots of their cruelest messages filled the screens. She's going to the same college as you? She doesn't deserve to be there. Ethan, I hate her so much. Can you pretend to date her, ruin her, and then dump her?
So cheap.
And she actually treats that piece of trash like a treasure. Then, an audio recording began to play. It was the high-quality audio from the night of the restaurant prank, followed by a voice recording of Ethan talking to his private doctor. Just write down that she's 6 weeks pregnant. Ethan's voice boomed through the chapel's state-of-the-art sound system. She's losing her mind.
If she
Thinks she's pregnant, she won't leave. I'll handle the rest. The guests began to whisper frantically. Reporters in the back immediately raised their cameras, the flashes blinding. Turn it off. Turn it off right now. Ethan roared, his face turning an ugly, mottled red. He lunged toward the tech booth, but 2 of the security guards I had privately hired stepped in his way, blocking him. And that's not all, I said, pointing to the screen as the slide changed. This time, it showed the financial documents of Chloe's charity fraud, followed by the tax evasion records of Ethan's family firm. For years, Chloe has been stealing from dying children to pay her gambling debts, I announced, looking directly at her. Chloe's face had gone completely
white.
She looked like she was about to faint. And Ethan has been embezzling millions from his family's company while his father bribed city officials to build unsafe housing. Ava, you bitch. Chloe screamed, standing up and rushing the altar. But before she could reach me, the heavy oak doors at the back of the chapel burst open. A dozen federal agents and local police officers marched into the room. Ethan Vance? Chloe Lynn, the lead agent announced, his voice cutting through the chaos. You are both under arrest for financial fraud, tax evasion, and embezzlement. The chapel erupted into pure madness. Guests scrambled to get out of the way as officers moved in, cuffing Ethan and Chloe right in front of the altar. Ethan struggled against the cuffs, his eyes wild and furious as he stared at me.
Ava.
You ruined us. Do you think you can survive without me? You're nothing. You have nothing. I stood at the altar, looking down at him. For the first time in 5 years, the heavy, suffocating weight in my chest was gone. I have my life back, Ethan, I said softly. And that is more than enough. 3 months later, the scandal had completely dominated the news for weeks. Ethan's family firm had collapsed under the weight of the federal investigation, their assets seized, and their incomplete buildings halted. Ethan and his father were facing up to 15 years in a federal penitentiary. Chloe's influencer agency had vanished overnight. Her followers turned on her with a vengeance, and she was currently awaiting trial for grand larceny and charity fraud, her reputation permanently destroyed. I, however, was far away. I had moved to a quiet, coastal town 3 hours north of the city. I rented a small, weathered cottage with a garden that looked out over the ocean.
The air
here was salty and clean, free of the toxic pollution of my past. I had used the money from the scratch-off ticket, the $1 million that had started this entire nightmare, to set up a trust fund for victims of cyberbullying and domestic abuse. I didn't want a single cent of that money to be tied to Ethan or Chloe. I wanted it to do some actual good in the world. I sat on my small wooden porch, sipping a cup of warm tea. The sun was slowly setting over the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold. My phone vibrated on the table. It was a message from my therapist. How are you feeling today, Ava? I looked down at my forearms. The old scars were still there, faint white lines
against my skin.
They would probably never fully disappear, but they didn't hurt anymore. They were just history. I typed back a simple, honest reply. I'm doing well. Actually, I think I'm finally happy. I put the phone down, took a deep breath of the fresh ocean air, and smiled. The storm of my youth had finally ended. And this time, I didn't need anyone to Hold an umbrella for me. I was perfectly fine standing in the sun.